Hi guys, this is the next sports psychology screencast, part of a double bill if you missed the last lesson, and this time we're talking about achievement motivation. Alright, basic achievement motivation is where we're linking elements of personality with a degree of competitiveness. So essentially, how competitive are you? How willing are you to achieve something? Achievement motivation. So we're using our personality and situational factors or elements that we've been placed into to decide how competitive a person generally is, and therefore the calculation that we arrive at is one that's on the screen. So the situation is the probability of success, how likely is it that we are going to succeed, and the incentive value of success, how much do we want to exceed. So the combination of how likely you are to succeed with how much do you actually want to succeed. The main theory relating to achievement motivation was designed by two individuals, Atkinson and McClelland, in 1976, and they came up with this diagram with two continuums which cross over each other. So you have a north and a south continuum and an east and a west continuum, and across the east and the west continuum they decided that individuals generally have either a high need to avoid failure, so they really don't want to fail at something, or they have a low need to avoid failure, so they actually don't mind, not as if don't mind, I think don't mind is not quite the right term, but they want to avoid failure less than those people who really have a high need to avoid looking like an idiot, looking like a complete failure. But the areas that we are interested in terms of the exam related questions are along the north-south continuum, and it's in these areas we're talking about a high need to achieve. How much do people want to achieve success within competition? Or on the south side of that continuum, a low need to achieve. That's individuals who really aren't that fussed about competition or becoming competitive enough to achieve something. Now the key concept about this theory is that they decided that individuals would be along somewhere on these continuums whenever there was a 50-50 chance situation, whichever one you were, high need to achieve or high NAC, low need to achieve or low NAC, that would generally predict your behaviour in that situation. For example, if you were dribbling in basketball and you were coming along to an opponent and you suddenly lost the ball, and it was a sort of 50-50 shot in terms of whether you would get to the ball first or they would get to the ball first. If on the diagram you were classified as a high need to achieve individual, such as Atkinson McClelland identified, you would be more competitive to go and get that ball, claim it and win it back. It wouldn't be to say that you'd always win the ball, but you'd be more inclined to go and do that. However, if you were classified as a low need to achieve individual, in that 50-50 situation, you might already be thinking, well actually I'm not going to win this, I'm not that fussed about if I win this ball or not, and so therefore likelihood for success would be a lot lower. Okay, so again, just overestimating this point, best at predicting behaviour in a 50-50 chance of success situation, this model is perfect for that. Alright, the other things you need to use for your exam questions is the examiner will ask you, well, what are the characteristics of high need to achieve performers and low need to achieve performers? And there is a table here of which you can obviously pause if you need to jot these things down. So in the yellow on the left we've got the high NAC, which would be the top of that north-south continuum on the previous slide. High NAC individuals generally do what they say on the tin. They've got a high need to achieve and they've got a low need to avoid failure. So they're not really fussed about if They make a mockery of themselves as such. That's proper failure in their eyes, but they are more concerned about being competitive. They want to achieve something. They adopt what we call approach behaviour. Now, approach behaviour is when, if a task is put in front of these people, high NAC individuals, they will take the task on. Okay, so that's approach behaviour. They will take on a task. They also show mastery orientation, and mastery orientation is when tasks get difficult, a little bit like that bottom statement. When tasks get difficult, they're keen to master the task and develop success. Alright, so they're really keen to push themselves when the tasks get difficult and learn something. On the opposite side, we've got the low NACs, low need to achieve, personality characteristics. Pretty much you just need to learn one side and then it's the complete reverse, although there are some different terms on the low NACs, such as avoidance behaviour. Avoidance behaviour is whereby you think you're going to fail at something and so therefore you won't take that challenge on. A little bit the opposite to approach behaviour. A challenge is put in front of you, you won't want to do it because you don't think you're going to achieve, you don't think you're going to be successful. Learned helplessness is whereby if you're always put in an exam situation, for example, and you always fail, you may think the next time you go into an exam, I'm going to fail because I failed before. Or if you have a driving test and you fail the first one, you might sit the second one thinking, well, I failed my last driving test, I'm obviously going to fail this one, blah blah blah. That's learned helplessness. So those individuals, low NACs, obviously they bail out when the task gets difficult, curtails, they don't put the effort in, etc. As with all of these screencasts, if you make good notes, bring them along with you to class and we will discuss this further.